Well, I hope you're a music lover. Hope you're a music fan. Hope you're a fan of Bobby Rush. Hope you're a fan of Vintage Vinyl, because we have the man who knows all about it, Papa Ray from Vintage Vinyl, and a friend of Bobby Rush today on the Bernie Hayes Show. Welcome back. My guest is Tom Papa Ray. Papa Ray, welcome.
How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, man. How are you?
Like the church folks say, I'm blessed.
You certainly are. We all both are, Tom. Our friend Bobby Rush is coming to town to celebrate his birthday. He chose St. Louis to celebrate his birthday, November the 9th.
Well, we have a special relationship in St. Louis with the great Bobby Rush.
Yeah. Bobby, you and Bobby play a lot together. You're a musician. You play harmonica. Any other musician? Any other instruments you play?
I used to play saxophone, but then I decided everything I wanted to do in music I could do with the harmonica. Okay. Because it has the most human voice of all the instruments.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, Bobby's going to have a blues birthday bash at the Lumiere Palace Casino. Not the National Blues Museum. At the Lumiere downtown St. Louis at the casino, November the 9th from 7 to 10 p.m. And you and Bobby go back a long way.
Go back into the 1980s when Bobby Rush would ship me his latest record on the bus from Jackson, Mississippi. Yeah. And I'd go down to Greyhound and pick those things up and get them in the shop as fast as I could.
Yeah. And now Bobby's a movie star. He's in the latest movie, Dolomite.
Which both those gentlemen are what you could call cultural heroes to me. Mm-hmm. And in fact, the first time I booked Bobby in St. Louis, it was in a double bill with Rudy Ray Moore, and I billed it Blues Meets Dolomite.
I think we have a poster of that. Does that?
I think we do.
Yeah, there it is. 21st Century Dolomite in concert. Rudy Ray Moore. Wow. 2 big shows, Friday, May 12th. What year was that?
Well, that's from my first show with Bobby and Rudy Ray was in the late 80s. Okay. That is from a 2001 show that we did with a great group of St. Louis musicians that included the late Tony T, Keith Robinson, Chuck's drummer. Sure. Just had a super band, and Rudy loved having a band backing him. Sure. And Rudy back in the 1950s and early 60s was cutting rhythm and blues records.
Right. He used to visit the radio stations here in St. Louis a lot. He used to visit at the radio stations. But Bobby Rush don't go back to 1960. Can you believe that? In Chicago, when he was, he and Tyrone Davis used to hang together at Richard's record store, Richard Stam's. And we became very good friends and been good friends since that. And it's just so nice that we were together at National Blues Museum when Bobby said he wanted to do St. Louis for his birthday party. So tell us about some of the things you and Bobby have done together.
Well, Bobby Rush has to be about as wonderful an artist that I've ever worked with. I've been in the music business all my adult life. I've worked in many genres of music. I've done concerts in St. Louis, in New York City, where I ran a jazz club. But Bobby Rush is just a pure gentleman. He is engaging always, and he's a man of the people. And when he takes the stage, he commands. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also you produced some records on Bobby, didn't you?
Well, we put out, yes, we did. In fact, what we did was for Record Store Day, which is a huge event in the independent music community worldwide. Mm-hmm. Stores such as ours will sometimes do their own special limited editions. Sure. And I talked to Bobby and said, let's do one this year. In fact, I'm planning to do this for the year 2020, next April. Okay. And as always, Bobby and I have worked without a contract, and we, know each one is going to do the right thing and do the business proper, and it's always on the one.
Yeah. Here's a couple of records that Bobby's done. I know I Ain't Studying You, and the other one too. But he's always right on time, right on rhythm. So we're gonna listen to those two records right now.
Some call me a henpecked man, some call me a fool, 'cause I give my own woman all of my money and love her like I do. Call me a henpecked man if you want, you can call me a henpecked fool, but it's my thing and it's my money, I can do what I want to do. I ain't thinking about you and I don't care what you say. Everybody's trying to get me to leave a woman alone, but I can't let her go. They don't know what you do to me when you get behind closed doors. I'm not a henpecked, well, I just been pecked by the right hen. I'm not a henpeck at all, y'all. Bobby Rush been pecked by the right hen. Just as long as you keep on giving me what you're giving me, I'm gonna love her till the end. I'm not a henpeck at all, y'all. I just been pecked by the right hand. Yes, look at her, peck me. Oh, that's right, baby. See, my so-called friends always talking about Bobby Rush. We don't mean no harm. We just trying to tell you what we saw your woman do. Let me tell my so-called friends. I don't want no man telling me nothing that you see my woman do, 'cause I know you wouldn't be telling me a damn thing if she had been done with you. So I ain't studying you. I tell you, I ain't studying you. If you think I'm gonna leave my woman because what somebody said, you must be crazy, gone out of your doggone head. I ain't studying you. I tell you, I ain't studying you. See, my mama done told me to leave the girl alone. My daddy done told me to. Making love to this girl every night could be the death of you. See, I looked at my daddy, looked at my mama. I didn't even crack a smile. I said, if this good little girl got killed me, then I don't mind dying. I ain't studying you. I tell you, I ain't studying you. If you think I'm gonna leave my woman because what somebody said, you must be crazy, gone out of your...
Oh, that was Bobby Rush. Typical Bobby Rush, don't you think?
The one and only.
Yeah. It's really amazing that he would come to town and spend his birthday party with the people here in St. Louis because he loves them so much. You know, when he was living in Chicago, he used to come here like almost every week. You know, but now he's in Jackson, Mississippi again. But you two have, you know, every time I talk to Bobby, he says, be sure to tell Papa Ray hello for me, or make sure Papa Ray is there. You know, so I realize how close you two are. Also, you know, and it's just very, very thrilling, man. But you have a history of your own. We're going to talk about Papa Ray after this. But we have the New Life Evangelistic Center, 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. And Papa Ray, you came in asking about Reverend Larry Rice. Mm-hmm. And Reverend Larry Rice knew you were coming by today. And he told me to make sure that you get this history of the New Life Evangelistic Center. It says, through the fire, how St. Louis gentrifiers tried to destroy a church because of the so much congregation. And your interest in Reverend Larry Rice and your interest in the New Life Evangelistic Center, this is a history of that struggle. And that's your personal copy from Reverend Larry Rice that you want us to have.
Thank you.
Okay. Also on the table, you may see these wonderful mugs. This is Harris Stowe State University mug, and that's the Webster University mug where I teach. And this is the Burning Haze mug that Reverend Larry Rice will also like you to have. And he's telling you how to receive one on the Burning Haze show.
Will you help New Life Evangelistic Center get back into 1411 Locust Street? Your tax-deductible gifts are urgently needed at this particular time, and there's many different ways that we're working to get back in that facility. One of the ways is to continue to inform the community through the Bernie Hayes Show and other programs. And if you haven't supported the Bernie Hayes Show and the Work of New Life Evangelistic Center, please do it now. It's urgently needed. Your gifts are deeply appreciated. So many homeless people are waiting to get back into 1411 Locust, and so many others need the direct help that New Life is trying to provide at this time, but is facing some real financial needs. And that's why your gift is very, very important. And to express our thankfulness for all of you that are sharing your gifts, we want to send you this special Bernie Hayes cup. It's my wife's favorite drinking cup. She loves to drink out of this cup, and this is actually the only coffee cup she wants to use is the Bernie Hayes cup. There's something very special about this cup, and we'll send it to each one of you that share a gift of $25 or more with the New Life Evangelistic Center and ask for your Bernie Hayes cup. It's P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri, that's 63166. Your gift will not only help us get back into the 1411 Locust building, but will help our first responders that are on the streets, the first responders that we have out there day after day, night after night. It will help keep our women and children in our safe houses, continue to keep our training programs open, our worldwide mission work, whether it's in India, Haiti, Africa, so many different things the New Life Evangelistic Center is doing. In addition to NLEC TV, tell your family and friends about it. Put it on your phone. Put on your get that phone app on all your friends' phones so that they can all see the Bernie Hayes Show or go to 24.2. It's your prayers and gifts that make all of this possible. I thank God for those of you who continue to pray for the reopening of 1411 Locust and the work of New Life Evangelistic Center. There's so many obstacles we're facing as we try to help the homeless, but we're going to continue to give it to God. We're going to continue to pray. We're going to continue to work, but we need you to partner with us. So again, it's New Life Evangelistic Center, P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri, that's 63166. I thank God for each one of you that are praying, caring, and sharing.
Tom Papa Ray is my guest. Tom Papa Ray from Vintage Vinyl. Tell us about Vintage Vinyl. Papa Ray, how did it come about?
Well,
and why?
Because Delmar is the street that sell the beat.
Okay.
And
in University City, right?
In University City in 1979, started out by renting a vegetable bin at Soulard Market. Did that for a few months. Opened our store in 1980. And we've been going strong ever since because a city like St. Louis needs the heel and feeling of music extra special.
Do you know, I remember when you opened? I remember the day you opened?
Oh, my.
Yes, I do. And I used to come in there and visit all the time, and I used to see you. And Vintage Vinyl has become now, it's an icon. It's a staple. It's part of the fabric of City St. Louis, of University City, shall I say, the St. Louis metro area.
I've never been so proud as to have somebody from one of the urban stations come to the store and introduce me to a visitor from out of town and said, "Oh, this is Tom Papa Ray. He has the Heritage Store here in St. Louis."
Great.
And one of the things that we've always wanted to do is celebrate, remind, cajole, and demand that people in our city and our city's leaders remember and recognize that this is one of the great music capitals of the world. It's something that the people who buy and sell St. Louis every day don't seem to know that.
Mm-hmm. You know, we have another mutual friend, too. We had a mutual friend. He's passed now. Oliver Sane. You know, you and I both had a special relationship with this man. Tell us about Oliver in your words.
Oliver was another wonderful human being. He was, as Solomon Burke once said to me, you know, Oliver Sane is the Quincy Jones of St. Louis. It's just no one realizes it. And look what he did. He was a signature soloist. You knew it was Oliver Sane within 2 or 3 notes. He owned a studio. He was a jobs program for musicians in this town. He recorded many artists in different genres.
Yeah.
And he was a killer songwriter. He was a talent scout. He brought people such as Fontella Bass, people such as Ann Peebles, people such as Shirley Brown, all got their career starts being involved with Oliver.
Yeah.
So I can't say enough good things.
And UV Hayes.
And UVAs.
You know, his own record label too, Vanessa Records. What's one that he made more prominent here in St. Louis and has some big hits on it. And you get David D's record.
He had that fine David D release was done in Archway.
Sure, yeah, Archway Studios and Vanessa Records. But Papa, we're here to talk about Bobby Rush. Bobby Rush is coming to town to spend his birthday, and I know he's going to have something very, very special to say for you and for the National Blues Museum.
I consider Bobby Rush to be the greatest living blues entertainer on the planet. As far as I'm concerned, if you put Bobby Rush in front of Buddy Guy in a 2,000-seat room, when Bobby Rush finishes, the only thing Buddy Guy can do is a guitar clinic. You know, Bobby even said 10 or 12 years ago, he said, you know, there's not going to be another Albert King.
Yeah.
There's not going to be, another Magic Sam. So they're going to have to deal with me.
Sure, yeah.
And this was at a time when, Bobby had been out there for so many years.
That was prophetic, wasn't it? Yeah.
He'd been out so many years. He was an unqualified success, but he was just right at that point where the national media and his non-core black audience were going to know and find out and contend with the kind of performer he was. And he was Mr. Do-It-Yourself. I mean, he'd been doing his career and running his career since the early 50s.
Yeah, and now he's a Grammy Award-winning musician and performer. And now, once again, he's in the new movie, Dolomite, the Eddie Murphy movie, Dolomite. Bobby makes a wonderful appearance in that particular movie. I saw it, and it was strictly Bobby Rush.
And, Bobby and Rudy Ray did a show for me. It was the first time I booked either artist. Mm-hmm. It was in the late 80s, and that was an education for me and an introduction to two guys that I would be able to work with quite a number of times as the years passed.
So I guess I know where you'll be November the 9th.
Oh, yes.
You'll be at the Lumiere with Bobby Rush, his birthday bash. And I'm so very happy and proud to say that he's going to spend his birthday with us here in the St. Louis area at the Lumiere downtown. You've been there?
Oh, I've walked through that before. But to me, I don't go to casinos too much because to me, after being in the music business for 45 years, I consider casinos a lesser form of gambling.
What's the major? Buying records,
right?
So producing records,
just staying in business.
Yeah. But Tom, you've been a stable of so much. Tell us about KDHX. You're on the air there.
Proud to say I've done a show for 32 years, mm-hmm. and when I began my show, what I wanted to do was to continue the great tradition of blues soul radio. Mm-hmm. I wasn't going to do an all soul show. I wasn't going to do an all blues show. I was wanting to do the kind of shows I heard you, I heard Lou Father Times, I heard Gentleman Jim Gates, I heard Jockenstein do. Mm-hmm. And to me, there was a tradition in St. Louis of having radio personalities to such an extent that we punched above our weight. I mean, I've lived in Manhattan. I never heard in St. Louis, I never heard in Manhattan the kind of personalities on air that I heard here in St. Louis. Yeah. And, I wanted to do a show that presented the music not as a bunch of endless guitar solos, but as a vocal music. Mm-hmm. The Bobby Blands, the Little Miltons, the Johnny Taylors.
Yeah, when can we hear you?
I'm on every Monday, 4 p.m. till 7, the Soul Selector on 88.1 KDHX, musical impressions on the R&B. And if you see me come, don't run because I'm about to have some fun.
And I'm proud to say that sometimes you were off. You had me sit in for you a few times there at KDHX because that was a lot of fun, man.
Oh, well, that was,
It was really great. And, and it's just so nice to know that you are on the air every Monday, KDHX, and You've been there for so many years, and everybody know that they tune in Mondays from 4 to 7 to hear Papa Ray because you bring in the latest.
And, we have listeners with the internet. I have listeners from overseas that are texting me while I'm doing my show. I've been honored to be in the St. Louis Radio Hall of Fame, which puts me in great company.
St. Louis Media Hall of Fame.
Right. And, to be in the St. Louis Radio Hall of Fame, my cup runneth over.
Tell me about it. Tom Papa Ray is my guest, and we're at 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. And the same facilities that were downtown 1411 Locust Street, same programs here at 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. Reverend Larry Rice spent nearly a half a century feeding the poor, sheltering the hungry, sheltering the homeless, feeding those in need, and paying utility bills and providing services for those in need. It's called New Life Evangelistic Center. And your investment in New Life Evangelistic Center does provide new life for so many people who are in need. And it's so easy to support us through Post Office Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri, 63166, or online at newlifeevangelisticcenter.org. That's one word, newlifeevangelisticcenter.org. And you may use MasterCard, Visa, American Express, Discover Card. It takes less than 2 minutes for an investment in New Life Evangelistic Center and new life for those in need. Back with Tom Papa Ray after this.
Hundreds of homeless people will be in front of the 1411 Locust Building on Thanksgiving morning, preparing for a big Thanksgiving feast that's going to be fed out on the streets. New Life Evangelistic Center still working to get back into the 1411 Locust Building, resisted by a handful of neighbors that don't want the homeless around. But we got the permits, and we're going to feed them in spite of the resistance. If you'll join us, if you'll pray for New Life Evangelistic Center, if you'll share that much-needed tax-deductible gift, not only will hundreds of homeless people be fed in downtown St. Louis on Thanksgiving Day, but also at 806 North Jefferson in Springfield, Missouri, as well as other locations and training centers throughout Mid-America. Your gift goes a long way at the New Life Evangelistic Center. There's so many people that are hungry and out on the streets. We're going to be helping them as you express your thankfulness by sharing that Thanksgiving gift now with New Life Evangelistic Center at P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri. That's 63166. Thank you for caring and sharing.
We'll return to our guests after this Black History Moment. Today's subject, Hiram Revels, minister who became the first African-American United States Senator representing the state of Mississippi. Although he had no previous government experience, Revels garnered enough community support to win election for a position as alderman in 1868 during the first phase of Reconstruction. He then served briefly in the Mississippi State Senate. In 1870, the state Congress selected Revels to fill a vacant seat in the United States Senate, and debates surrounding his eligibility hinged on the 1857 Dred Scott decision, which precluded African-American citizenship. The decision was effectively reversed by the ratification of the 14th Amendment after the Civil War. Revels resigned from the Senate after a year to accept the presidency of Alcorn Agricultural and Mechanical College, located in Claiborne, Mississippi. In addition to his administrative and teaching roles, Revels remained involved in the Methodist Church. Hiram Revels.
What a glorious season of the year fall is, if we approach it with an attitude of gratitude and let the music creation flow in us and through us. You may be going through a spiritual fall in your life at this particular time when stuff that you've hung on to are beginning to fall off. It looks like a winter season is coming. It's easy to fear at that particular time as we go through the changes of the seasons, both in our spiritual life and maybe even in the physical life. But we do not need to fear, for even though the leaves may be falling, things may be getting harder, things aren't the same they were before, relationships may be falling away, you may be going through a winter season at this particular moment, be at peace, for spring is coming. God is at work. What's important is that you let His rivers of living water continue to flow in you and through you. And that happens as you read His Word daily, as you call upon Him in the day of trouble. He'll hear you, He'll deliver you, and He will begin to do exceedingly beyond what you even thought was possible. So relax at this moment. Develop an attitude of gratitude and let the power and love of God begin to take root at this moment.
Welcome back. My guest, Tom Papa Ray, longtime friend, longtime personality here in the city of St. Louis, and longtime producer and friend of Bobby Rush. Papa Ray, can we reach you? Tell us about vintage vinyl and like Bob Demler says, it's vintage is the key word, right?
7,700 square foot mothership of music on the Del Mar Loop, 6610, open 7 days a week, musical ministry to our city, because as you know, music is the healing force.
Right.
There's a lot of things that divide people, and we know what they are. You know, race divides people, economics, politics, all of that divide people on this planet and set them up against each other. One of the very few things that will bring people together is their shared love of music.
Yeah.
And who feels it knows it.
And they can ride a trolley to vintage vinyl, can they not?
You could ride a trolley to vintage vinyl. You could take your bicycle to vintage vinyl, or get a ride and have somebody drop you off.
Isn't that great? Where exactly on Del Mar are you located?
We're at 6610 Del Mar, in the heart of the Del Mar Loop.
What's the cross street?
I've forgotten.
It's okay. It's all right. But we know it's near the City Hall, right?
Yeah, we are directly across from Fitz's Root Beer Restaurant.
Right.
We are 1 block west of Blueberry Hill.
Joe Edwards.
So, we are at the epicenter of the Del Mar Loop, which is one of the very best and most diverse and enjoyable neighborhoods in all of St. Louis.
Right. Bobby Rush coming to town. There's a phone number we can have tickets on sale for Bobby Rush, and that phone number is 314-925-0016. But Vintage Vinyl's phone number is 721-4096. And Papa Ray, your email address is what?
paparay@vintagevinyl.com.
Right.
You know, with Bobby, what we have now, to me, is the blues lion in a very, very productive winter. He has gone from having his releases on small, regional, southern labels to the Malico label, which is one of the great companies.
Jackson, Mississippi.
And now, though, he's on. He's had releases on Rounder Records nationally and internationally. He's currently with a great label called 30 Tigers,
right,
who are just totally enthused over being able to work with Bobby. And they have his latest album out, and, you know, he's really riding on top.
Yeah, he signed a record signing right here at the National Blues Museum.
Right.
He had a record release party right here.
That was a great party.
Yeah, for those who don't know the number for tickets for the Bobby Rush Show, November the 9th, it's 314-925-0016. I'll repeat that again, 314-925-0016. And you should call for reservations because it's going to be maybe a sellout, so you better call as soon as you possibly can. Papa Ray, I just want to say thank you, man. You've done so much for the music industry. You've done so much for the city of St. Louis. You've done so much. Vintage Vinyl has done so much. How did you come up with the name Vintage Vinyl?
About 1978, I was living in Manhattan working in the record business, and I had decided that I wanted to be in the music business on my own terms, and the term vintage vinyl came to me, and it just seemed to be a perfect fit. We carry all kinds of music, jazz, blues, soul, rock and roll, international, reggae, hip-hop. We have the finest collection of what I call adult soul music in the Midwest.
Well, we must visit University City, visit Vintage Vinyl, and I'm sure I'll see you November the 9th from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock at the Lumiere Casino downtown for the Bobby Rush Show. And I want to say thank you, Papa Ray. Thank you for being a friend for so many years.
Let love live and let love stay.
Tell me about it. I want to thank each and every one of you for visiting with us today with 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. And we invite you to bring by some foods some canned goods for those in need, for some clothing, water, anything that you think the needless and homeless need. I'm Bernie Hayes. Have a great day. 2428 Woodson Road, Overland, Missouri. The New Life Evangelistic Center. Thank you so much for your support. Have a great day. Until next time.